Video 5. Thursday, July 17, 2025.
After 7 days, you hear that pop and you knew the tree was gone. And you prayed Yeah, I'm sure, but it went into its cradle because you created a spot for it to fall so that it didn't split. You'd use hardwood, you drag it into the path of some drones. Now there are a couple of old growth trees on the site. One's coming into view just right next to the locomotive. I'll point it out to you. The interesting thing is you can see, if you look very closely, little notches where those springboards would have been. It is right over there. Somebody came along and said, no, not that one, but they started a lot of irregular growth. That was the saving grace in that tree. And the other end of their tree, here, it's not a particularly large one. It's on the right-hand side, got a chunk of bark hanging off it. This guy right here, and we don't know for sure when they spread that right, but probably it was going to shut the works down. You cut that down, it was going across the tracks, and they want to keep things where and stuff. Now we get to Rincon, we'll see some really good sized ones. Once the trees got to the ground, they were dragged on skid roads. A skid road is basically a dirt road lined with logs, kind of like railroad ties without tracks. Dragged by teams of oxen, 6 or 8 oxen. They were called jerk teams. A man who would walk next to the oxen. It was a very prestigious job. His job title was roadmaker. And that's exactly what he did. That's what railroads are all about. He walked in the crowd, and he would keep the railroad. He would encourage those poor oxen to keep credit. Eventually they got mechanized and tight. Vertical mountain steam engines to a living tree with maybe like a half a mile long cable to drag towards the mill. Now the turn skid road comes to be a lot of these. We've got a section of town that's not too safe, but it's got a skid road. But that's comes to be a lot of these. Nobody wanted to live when the logs came into town and it's dusty and dirty. And we don't belong anymore, but now we still keep the term skid road.
By tunnel number 5 and Garden of Eden. Very famous winter. You people, that water is very chilly, by the way. All spring fed comes from the. So a lot of people are down there, I noticed a lot of people are in the water. Very refreshing.
Okay, we're coming to the end of video 5 on Thursday, July 17th, 2025. I think we'll get the main old Felton main narrow gauge main line. It branches off at the left up here. And we'll have to call it in a video 5 after that. Coming to the old Felton main line, narrow gauge. Then we'll cut off this video, 5. Right here, the old Felton main narrow gauge line right here.
To America.